James.
So I'm here with Jennifer Moore. And Jennifer, what position are you running for?
I'm running for the 322nd Family District Court in Tarrant County.
Okay, and tell me about yourself and why you think you should be the person to be the next judge.
Well, I am born and raised in Arlington, Texas, and I have my own law firm in Arlington, Texas, that specializes in family law, that we do that exclusively, board-certified family law attorney, and I practice in these Tarrant County family courts every single day of my life for the past 13 years. So I think I know a thing or two about these courts. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a thing or two about the courts then, because we just had a minor disagreement on a topic that I'd like to get your discussion, hear your input on it. In Texas, we have no-fault divorce, which I'm going to call unilateral divorce, because in the majority of instances where one person is filing for no-fault divorce, there's no reason whatsoever. It does not have to be a mutual thing. It's forced divorce. And you have, the statistic that I've read most frequently is 75% of the cases, the respondent does not want a divorce, be it a woman or a man. And in even higher amounts of cases than that, the children don't want the divorce. They want their parents to work things out to stay together. But you're a defender of no-fault divorce. Tell me why. Well, first of all, no child wants a divorce. But children don't make grown-up decisions.
Well, grown-ups are using grown-up arguments that affect the children. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I would agree with you. Every family court case affects children, and if the parents can't reach an agreement that's in their best interest, then they have to look to us judges to make those decisions for them. So I would say that, first of all, the cases that are before me in a final trial are the most dysfunctional cases. Most cases do settle.
So, no, I understand, but the issue that we're talking about is the no-fault divorce, in which one person is filing for the divorce and the spouse says, I don't agree that this marriage is irreconcilable. Now, you're saying like both parents are at fault here, but it's one person who's actually destroying a family, and you're saying that you're okay with that.
Well, I am, because I don't believe that as a scholar and as an attorney, although I am a Christian and I strongly believe in God, I don't think that every family sees their marriage as a covenant with God, a promise to God. Furthermore, maybe they do, but circumstances are different at this time. So I want people to have an opportunity to get divorced however they want to.
However one person wants to, not however they want to. So you're saying you're okay with forced divorce. Now you mentioned, and I'm gonna ask you honest questions. I'm not. I hope you're not offended.
I'm not. I've represented that client.
Okay. So you mentioned
we call it a divorce readiness scale. One spouse is at 10, and the other one's at 1. So how do we handle the one client and move them toward, because this is not going to get different.
Well, how do we protect the due process protections of the respondent in a situation where something is being forced upon him? Because part of due process, divorce is a lawsuit, as you know. Somebody's suing another person, and in an instance like that, you either need to have something that you can bar the lawsuit, or you have to have the opportunity to present evidence to say, I'm innocent. In no-fault divorce, you get neither one of those things. So on its face, it is unconstitutional. It violates due process protections for the respondent who does not want the divorce.
Well, I disagree with you. I think the respondent has been sued, right, wrong, or indifferent. The case is going to go on because the petitioner had the right to file the suit. And so the respondent has every right to hire their own counsel, to do their due diligence in discovery, obtain their own expert witnesses, just because they didn't want the lawsuit.
It doesn't matter, though, because even if they go through all of that stuff, you're going to grant the divorce.
They have to.
So you're telling a person, just waste money on something that you have no defense over.
Because I want them to be protected. I want their rights to be protected. This is a train I can't stop.
Well, actually, we can't.
And I'm not a legislator. So.
I'm glad you're saying that, because we're working on legislation for that. But I want to know your judicial philosophy. And like I said, the interesting thing was the National Organization of Women was one of the big pushers for no-fault divorce. And Betty Friedan, who used to be the president in 1992, 1993, she opposed no-fault divorce because she said she did not realize what the unintended consequences were, that it was a destruction of, not just the destruction of the family, but she did not realize how many women and children were going to be thrust into poverty. And actually in New York, as you mentioned, the very last state to adopt no-fault divorce, the National Organization of Women partnered with the Catholic Church to oppose no-fault divorce. So here's the organization that was pro 100% no-fault divorce, let's push for it. And then when it came to New York, they're like, wait a minute, they're pushing back. So are they wrong? Were they wrong? No, were they wrong? I mean, look, if you go back to 1920, the interesting thing is if you go back to the Atlantic magazine, in 1926, they wrote about no-fault divorce in Russia and how this was just causing great problems in their community. And Atlantic magazine, who's not known to be the most conservative magazine, was writing against it in a way like they couldn't believe what was going on. Now, they had to abandon that system,
so
but we
year
picked
was
it up.
36?
This was 1926. You can look at it.
Do you think that families have changed since 1926?
I think the question is this. It was unilateral divorce because under the Bolshevik Revolution, they knew that a strong family was detrimental to their cause. So how do we destroy the family? And we do it by allowing people to divorce at will or forcefully divorce somebody else, and it broke a lot of people.
Well, I think you're making a lot of assumptions about certain specific incidents.
Okay, so tell me what my assumptions are.
Okay, your assumption is that divorce tears apart a family.
Well, it does.
Well, I disagree.
Well, like if you amputate a leg, I have a leg over
Let
the
me answer it.
Okay.
I think that divorce done well is a reorganization of a family.
So you're talking like bankruptcy. Oh, like in the company that's filing for,
Well, you can make fun of me or you can allow me to answer your questions.
I am.
Okay? So what I'm saying is, what we aim to do is just restructure a family that is not going to be together as a unit like they were.
Because one person says, I don't want it.
Said, I don't want it.
So when you say that about a family, what you're also saying is, because you know as well as I do, that after a family is destroyed, you have ongoing issues where a lot of attorneys make money, whether it's in modifications or visitations or, you need to pay for this or pay for that. But you're saying then, at the same time, that when you destroy a family, that that parent-child relationship is not as important.
Well, I disagree with your assumption that families are destroyed through this process.
Oh, go ahead. And your name is?
Vineet Mansukhani.
Okay, go ahead. Start over from the beginning. Yeah.
Dr. Jennifer Harman's paper about a year and a half ago, it shows there are 30 million severely alienated children and parents. That is entirely severed connection. There is no family left. It's family shredding, it's family destruction. There's another 30 million on top of that who are suffering a mild or moderate form of that. Now, this induces, the science of adverse childhood experiences shows that it induces such toxic stress and complex trauma in the children and parent that the parent is going to drop dead from that trauma in 15 years.
Are you familiar with the study that he's referring to?
I'm not familiar with that.
You need to.
But I would suggest to you an alternate theory that...
Let me finish my question, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so basically, family courts are directly, the result of what family courts are doing is 30 million dead or dying. Okay, that rises to a crime of humanity. This is genocide at a grand scale. It's democide, killing of its own people by the government. So if there is any moral or spiritual value system, this needs to come to a stop. This is not tolerable under any circumstances.
So he's saying families are destroyed. He's not buying
These
it.
are 30 million who are dead or dying. There's blood on your hands, on the family court side, not your hands, so not in there. But as an attorney, there may be some. But you got to think of that as a human being. What does your conscience tell you?
Okay, well, I've been doing this with human beings, and I am a human being for 13 years. And I'm going to tell you the studies that I believe are more accurate are the ones that say conflict is what is disruptive for a child.
Can you cite some of those studies so we can research them?
I don't have them. They may be still on my website. If not, I can provide a link.
Absolutely.
because I've written some white papers on this.
Yeah, and also I'll send you something too, because there's a new book that came out. It's called Primal Loss. The Adult Children of Divorce Speak Out. It came out last year from this one lady.
That's me.
Yeah, but here's the deal, and I understand what you're saying. There are some. We're not saying get rid of all divorce, because there are legitimate reasons for divorce. But forced divorce, unilateral divorce, actually these are the divorces that affect children more, because they don't know what happened. And we used to have this myth that children are resilient. No, actually the children have been silenced, and after 20 or 30 years they're finally speaking out.
Well,
I'll send you the book.
okay, that's fine.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, conflict is what is disruptive to children. And you can have conflict in an intact home, and you can have a conflict in two separate homes. So what parents need to do is avoid that conflict for their children and rise above that. Yeah, I'm mad because my husband filed for divorce and there's nothing I can do to stop him, but I'm not going to take it out on my child.
Nobody's asking you to do that, obviously. But as a protective mom,
what you're suggesting is this process creates the destruction of the family because the parents are so upset that they take it out on their children. Because they're going to visit with both parents. They're going to
not
see
necessarily.
both parents.
In fact, if you talk, this is my friend Jodi. Jodi, tell her your ex-husband. I won't go into his name because I don't want to.
My ex-husband abducted all four of my children, 2 at a time, 2 years apart.
Abducted them to where?
Abducted them
To
2 at
Iowa.
a time, 2 years apart. 2 of them were abducted in Iowa from the back side of the school. I showed up and they were gone.
Were there any orders in place when this happened?
Yeah, there were.
Oh yeah, that's the funny part. So,
Well, I mean, that's. I
No,
know that
you're right. Absolutely. I agree.
We've been divorced since 2000.
Okay,
so I'm
so
talking
there were
about
orders in
2013.
place about when they were with you and when they were with
They've
him.
been primary. I've been primary all their life.
So he took
we
the
were joint
children
legal.
during a period of time that was not his
Correct.
possession. Okay.
Correct. So the following day I showed up at the school and I said, I'm going to be taking my children out of here. The principal said, no, you're not. Your children are scared of you. No, they're not. And I didn't know what parental alienation was. But no, they were turned against me within 24 hours. Didn't take long. And so I never saw the kids again. I've seen my son for 4 hours in 4.5 years. I've seen my daughter
Did
for
you
5
have a
minutes.
hearing?
We had a hearing. It took 5 months to get it because my ex manufactures conflicts. Okay, then right after that, the judge says,
So what evidence was there presented to the
It is
court
one of the
that
most
the children
corrupt-
are scared of you?
the guardian ad litem. The guardian ad litems are paid off by the courts or whatever is going on. I don't know. She said the kids adamantly hate the mother, so we recommend to the court that she doesn't see the children. But we don't want the kids to be separated because there's siblings here. So how the hell are they going to see the siblings if they don't see me? So then my ex wouldn't let the kids see each other. So I went to his door and I said, can we do something here? Because I was always co-parenting fine. He just won't answer the door, he won't answer phone calls, he won't answer emails. And so he says, no, get the F off my porch. Slams the door, I go back with a cop. No, get the F off my porch. To our children. So we leave, I moved to Texas. I thought, Texas, that women prevail. I was wrong. And I got a full-time job down here. I told him I'm leaving. He goes, I don't care. Get off my porch. So we were there 3 months before I left. He wouldn't even let my kids see my dead father before he was dying. Wouldn't let them see him. So we left at the twins. The twins were the ones that said, let's go to Texas. You like it there better. The people are nicer. Let's go. We were here 9 months. Texas had jurisdiction. My kids got on an airplane in the middle of the night. A PTA lady from Birdville High School, Sharon Rhodes Lane, she took my kids to the airport while I was at work in the middle of the night because I took my children's phones away for a week. And so 4 days later, they were on an airplane. They wrote a letter. Mom, it's in our best interest to live with Dad, Kaylin, and Ian. We love you. We hope to reunify someday. Well, 15-year-olds don't say those words. They especially don't know what best interest means.
Well, I know what parental alienation is, and I've had it in cases, and it is
Horrific.
I would argue probably one of the worst forms of child abuse, and I'm so.
Thank you. Say this again. Say this again.
I think it's one of the worst forms of child
Very good.
abuse.
One thing we absolutely agree on.
So here's
And so,
what's
and I've had these cases. So what I want to tell you is, I am so sorry you had that bad experience with that court in Ohio. I don't know, Iowa, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't know if that was a court of specialized jurisdiction or of general jurisdiction that hears slip and falls, murder cases, and divorces. I don't know that. But what I can tell you is you need judges that know family law. Because judges that know family law have represented clients that have been alienated, and that are alienators.
But then we get judges like Judith Wells, who gives kids to an abuser that's doing this. And I like Judge Tavares now. We've connected again, but he's the one that sent my jurisdiction to Iowa after I was here 9 months. And the lawyer I had, John Paul Chidgey, did not file notice of appearance. And so he went in to represent me, and I'm at home, not knowing what's happening. He says, I think Jodi's moving to Iowa. So he sent my jurisdiction to Iowa, which is a man state, predominantly. And I told Navarez I'll never see him again. He laughed at me and says, why do you want twins back, especially teenagers? He thought it was funny. I said, I'll never see him again, and I have not seen them again. And that's been since March 2000.
I can't comment on that.
Right, you can't comment on those things. I guess the question is that what it's coming down to is when you're talking about families and you're saying that families are reorganizing, no, they're being destroyed. That's the bottom line. And sometimes, I've known some people that have been very successful at co-parenting, people that have been more wonderful apart than together. I understand that those exist. I know in the majority of instances, when you look at the reorganization of the family, it's really the devastation of the family. It's often to the advantage of the attorney who's profiting financially. You have men or women who, when they get child support imposed upon them and can't make their payments, they become criminalized by the Attorney General of the state of Texas. They get their face plastered as a child support evader. They get arrested, thrown into jail. Good people, and these are not just the exceptions. It's happening over and over and over again. And that's why somebody who's running for your position, I want to know your philosophy or your opponent's philosophy, because the destruction of the family, and I'm not calling it reorganization, the destruction of the family is creating kids that are more at risk as far as for antisocial behavior, for drug abuse, for criminal abuse, to go into jail, to not graduate from high school, to not have a college degree, to have long-term psychological or health issues, on and on and on, every single malady. And that's because of, and when you look at it, no-fault divorce has made this more prevalent, not less prevalent.
Okay, so here's my not meaning to be evasive
Absolutely.
answer.
You betcha. It's an open conversation.
Simple social studies. The legislature writes the laws.
Right.
The executive branch enforces the laws. And the judiciary interprets the laws. If you don't like the laws, do what you're doing.
Change them.
Try to get them changed.
Absolutely.
So I have to follow the laws on the books.
Right.
I have to divorce these people.
Well, but now you have other options as well. For example, in a situation like that, you could order counseling.
In a situation such as what?
Well, like you have a person who says, one person who's met Mr. Rich Moneybags, or one man who's met Miss Beautiful who has no stretch marks because she hasn't borne him any children yet, says...
And isn't that a fault divorce?
Well, under Texas, it doesn't make a difference because almost every divorce is filed under no fault. The faults don't really exist to a large degree. They exist in the books.
That's the respondent's fault for not countersuing and basing it on fault and asking for a disproportionate share of the marital estate.
It's still destroying the family.
I'll tell you a specific case.
And also say...
I want to ask you, whatever she said, this was my scenario in my divorce in 2000, and why I agree with a lot of stuff Jeff is saying. My ex had an affair that lasted forever, I didn't know about, and he was taking our marital assets because I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't want to be one, but daycare was so high, and we had 2 kids and 2 twins on the way. He was taking our marital assets and giving it to a flight attendant, and they had an apartment in New York. Now, if there was at-fault divorce on the books,
well, let me tell you that
maybe I would have got...
Texas has a great statute in place that's called the reconstituted estate. So if there has been fraud committed on the estate, where one spouse has gifted or transferred into their aunt's or their cousin's name, then we can ask, when we represent the wronged spouse, that the court reconstitute the estate. If I can prove it, then if he took $50,000 out of the estate, and
that's hard to prove, though. You know that, unless you hire a forensic accountant or something else. Hers is not the first case that I've heard about like this.
It's not. I'm just saying.
Yeah, $25,000, $30,000 to hire somebody.
I have to work within the boundaries.
I got you.
And I don't know how other states do it.
Yeah.
But we just got that law, and I think that's a pretty cool way. Because before the judges were like, "What do you want me to do?"
Yeah.
I can give you more than half. I can say you're going to get a disproportionate share.
Yeah.
But now we can make it where it's maybe not disproportionate. We start by reconstituting the estate and then dividing that, even if it's a fallacy, right?
What do you do if you find out later? Like if you find out, like
After 105 days.
I just found out a month ago, literally, and I've been divorced since 2000, that there's 30 some extra thousand.
I can't give you legal advice. I'm sorry. 'Cause
Right.
You said, what would you do?
Yeah.
No, not you.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
asking, what does a litigant do?
That's legal.
Well, let me ask it, and then you tell me if it is.
Okay.
Let me tell you what it is.
I've just
How could she ask the question? I know that. But you're also an attorney because you're not a judge yet. So you're an attorney. As an attorney,
Yeah.
you're giving pro bono advice here.
If we find out
like that,
later,
Jeff.
this use it.
don't let him know.
Okay. If we find out later, like I found out 17 years later,
Her husband is going to
that
come and after the stew
pilots
pretty soon.
that were working at the time of 9/11. I don't know if it was all pilots or if it's just American and United that hit the towers and all that. All those pilots got an extra amount of money, like 30 to 40,000, that they're going to get every year in the retirement. But he didn't disclose that. So can we?
And you didn't learn of this until 17 years later. Well, in the state of Texas, the law is you have to file a suit to divide undisclosed assets within 2 years of the year you discover that they were undisclosed.
But if his attorney was in on this, it now becomes fraud upon the court, right? So fraud has no statute of limitations.
You're getting into a lot more difficult things. I understand that, but
This is like a
I
consultation.
know. No, you're right. We're not trying to do that to you.
We're talking hypothetically because your divorce was in Iowa, and I don't know what the laws are there, but look, guys, let's just end with this. It is not perfect.
Yeah.
This is not a fun place to be. It's a calling for us professionals to choose to do this every single day.
So in a situation, and this, I'm glad you're saying this and wrapping up with this point. So hold on. Well, okay, but like in a situation like this, sometimes you know it's not right. How do you sleep? I mean, I asked myself the question, if I were in a situation where somebody said, you've got to turn on that switch to put gas into the chambers, and I say, well, you know what, it's the law, I've got to do it, I'm given an order, I've got to do it. When I was in the military, I was told that I was supposed to question first any lawful order and then disobey it. So that's kind of where I'm a little bit firm on some things, and I understand that you're a judge and everything, but I guess the question is, how do you sleep at night at times?
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Cognitive dissonance.
Because as a calling, I mean, you're saying I'm looking to the calling of God on my life, if you want to use that, is to know that I'm going to be probably screwed up over some of this stuff, some of these decisions I'm making.
Well, and I grew up without a father. He didn't want to participate.
Yeah.
And so
I
had
you.
daddy issues and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. So what I can tell you is, as an attorney, I have seen terrible injustice done.
Right.
And as the attorney, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And I think, what did I do wrong? What piece of evidence did I not give that judge to realize that was a...
Right.
Okay. How are you? So I'm always questioning myself and how I could have done this better.
Right.
I can encourage my client to appeal it if I think that they have a chance. But as a judge, how do you sleep with it? You have to call the balls and strikes. You have to. Being a judge means you must judge and you must render a decision. And so you have to trust that your intellect and your heart will render a decision that you can sleep on.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. When I'm down there seeking to change the law, you're going to be supporting me, right?
I can't as a
No.
judge.
if you're a sitting judge, if you're not a sitting judge, you can't. I mean, because nobody knows what's going to happen here. But I'm just saying, you'll be rooting for me in your heart at least.
Probably not. I'm sorry.
Well, you've just said you've seen all these cases of injustice,
I think
and
she was just making to warm up and
I
show her
know,
human side. Now she's gone back to
Jennifer,
being a judge.
do you realize what you just said? You took like one step forward and 20 steps back.
Well, I'm a lifetime member of the Texas Family Law Foundation.
I think we need to.
Oh, that's the problem right there. So, the Texas Anti-Family Law Foundation. Well, really, look at you're the president, Joelle Sheridan or whatever her name is. She gets up on the stand and says, "I'm so proud of my job of lobbying for the Texas Family Law Attorney." I'm like, wait a minute, what are you for the Texas Family Bar? What? You know, the Texas Family Law Foundation sounds so respectable. You know, we're going to call on the Texas Family Law Foundation to render opinions on law. And what she's saying is, I'm most proud of my job of lobbying for the Texas Family Bar.
Oh, I'll tell you something.
I'm like, really?
In the Soviet communist style, they used to call them sham organizations. They purport to be doing one thing, but they're doing something else.
Yeah.
And by them taking up that position,
Yeah.
they block a genuine organization from coming in and doing good work. That's why in the Soviet system, it was called sham organization.
But he's not blocked from lobbying his point of view. Oh my gosh! And I think that
I am not at all.
I think that.
But I'm not going to say that I'm representing the families. I mean, if they want to call themselves the Texas Anti-Family Law Foundation,
That's you. That's your heart.
you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it. You gave us a lot of time. I'll let Jodi ask you one more question, but I really appreciate Jennifer, I'm going to tell you how much I appreciate you, because I know that I was a little bit hard on you on some things.
You know what?
But I was easy today, actually. But anyway, I'll let Jodi ask. Thanks so much.
Ask this real quick.
Okay.
If you're not a judge yet, right?
No.
Okay, so if you become a judge and you're in a situation where there's children involved that are teenagers and they've been withheld from custody from either a mom or a dad, and you believe there is parental alienation going on, hopefully you know what that is. Okay. Will you take those children in the chambers? Because I, for one, think you should not be unless you're a psychologist, a forensic psychologist, or you have some sort of training in triangulation, gaslighting.
Okay, well, the Texas Family Code says that if either party requests that the judge interview a child 12 years or older, I have to do it. In fact, if a lawyer says, and I want you to videotape said interview, I have no choice.
Now, what if one parent objects?
No, it is not can or may, it is shall. No parent can object to that.
See, I was different. If one parent objects, they can't.
Texas,
And my judge says, I don't care what it says, I'm doing it anyway. So we
You
took
can
my
object.
children into the chambers, and of course, who do they think they're going to say they love? They're going to say they love the one that's abusing them because they brought him to court. And they've been withholding them forever.
well, you know, what you hope is that your judiciary can sniff out manipulation and coach speech and
We do hope that, but they're constrained by the Texas Family Code as well
So
sometimes.
there's also there's a thing called red flag behaviors, and there's like 167 red flag behaviors, and you can get that. I can send it to you.